So what if I told you that you could turn a pretty standard AI into a seriously powerful problem-solving machine? And the secret? It isn't more data or some gigantic model. Nope, it's all about how you talk to it. That's prompt engineering, and honestly, it's the key to unlocking what these AIs can really do. See, a simple prompt, well, it gets you a simple answer. But a really well-designed one, oh man, that can make an AI think, plan, and pull off some incredibly complex stuff.
Just look at this. It's amazing what a few little words can do, right? On the left, you've got your basic question, explain machine learning. And you get, a generic, kind of boring textbook answer. But then on the right, we just add that little bit of context, suitable for a 10-year-old. All of a sudden, we're not just asking what something is, we're telling the AI how to answer. And that simple little shift, that's the heart of good prompting. It's really what separates someone who's just using AI from someone who's an expert at it.
Okay, so here's what we're going to uncover today. We'll kick things off by breaking down the difference between user and system prompts. Then we'll dive into how these agents can use reasoning prompts to reason. We'll also get into the power of role prompting, which is super cool. And then to cap it all off, we're actually going to build our very own task-solving AI agent. It's going to be fun.
All right, let's get into our first section, core prompting techniques. These are basically the building blocks of AI instruction. You gotta know the fundamentals before you can build the cool stuff, right? So let's lay that foundation.
So first things first, let's talk about user prompts versus system prompts. A user prompt is exactly what it sounds like. It's a one-off command you give the AI, like, hey, what's the capital of France? Super simple, right? But a system prompt, that's a whole different beast. It's more like a permanent set of rules that defines the AI's entire personality. Think of it like this. A user prompt is like asking a stranger for directions. A system prompt is like having a personal tour guide for your entire trip who already knows your preferences.
Okay, now this is where we start to unlock the AI's real brain power. We're talking about agent reasoning prompts. See, with these, you're not just asking for an answer. You're telling the AI, hey, show me your work. By telling it to think step by step, we fire up something called chain of thought reasoning. And that is absolutely crucial for any problem that's too complex to solve in just one go. And here's a perfect example of that chain of thought in action. Instead of just jumping to the answer, which would be 300 kilometers, look at what the agent does. It breaks the whole problem down. First, it identifies the speed, then the time, then it remembers the formula. Distance equals speed times time. Then it does the math. This whole step-by-step process, it's not just more accurate, it's more trustworthy. You can actually see its logic. You can follow its thinking.
And the last core technique we'll cover is role prompting. Honestly, this one is so powerful. It's basically like casting an actor in a movie. You give the AI a specific role to play. Instead of just asking a question, you say, you are a world-class travel expert, or act as a seasoned financial advisor. When you do that, you're giving it all the right context, the right tone, everything. The quality of the answers you get just goes through the roof because it stops being a jack of all trades and becomes a specialist. Okay, so we've got all these individual techniques, which are great on their own, but the real magic, that happens when we start putting them all together. So let's look at the anatomy of a great agent prompt. This is the blueprint for building really powerful AI.
And here it is, the secret sauce. I call it the 4-part prompting formula. It's your recipe for success. First up, you need a role. Who should the AI be? Second, the task. What exactly do you need it to do? Third, the reasoning instruction. How should it think to get there? And finally, fourth, the output format. How do you want the final result to look? If you nail these 4 things, you're going to have an incredibly powerful and reliable prompt every single time.
Okay, theory is great, but now it's time to get our hands dirty. Let's actually build a reasoning agent. We're going to do a practical demonstration using a really popular framework called LangChain. So get ready, because we're about to put all this theory into practice. All right, first step is always getting the right tools. All you got to do is pop open your terminal and run a quick command. Pip install LangChain OpenAI. That's it. This just pulls down the 2 key libraries we need to connect our code to the AI model. Super easy. Now for the really important bit. We're setting up what's called a prompt template. You can think of this like a recipe that we can use over and over again. And look closely at the text. We're not just leaving a blank for the question. We're building our reasoning instructions right into it. Solve the following questions step by step. Explain your reasoning clearly. By doing this, we're basically forcing the agent to use that chain of thought process we talked about. It has no choice but to think before it answers. Okay, next we just need to connect the dots. First, we fire up the AI model.
Then we create something called an LLM chain. It sounds fancy, but all it really does is link our prompt template to the AI model. It's the glue that holds it all together. And finally, we just run it using the .run method, and we feed it our simple math problem about the pencils.
And boom, there's the payoff. Look at that beautiful output. It's perfect. The agent didn't just spit out $14. It followed our instructions to the letter. Step 1, identify the price. Step 2, count the pencils. Step 3, do the multiplication. That is the power of good prompt engineering in action. We did it. We just built a reasoning agent.
So that was awesome, right? We built a simple agent, but I want you to understand that these skills scale up big time. So let's zoom out a bit and talk about the key takeaways and why this skill really matters.
Look, what we just did wasn't just some fun little toy project. These exact same principles are what power some of the most advanced AI systems out there. Think about AI coding assistants or autonomous agents that can do research for you, or those really smart customer support bots. They're all built on this kind of structured prompting. And the big frameworks people are using to build complex multi-agent systems, things like LangGraph and Crew AI, yeah, this is their bread and butter.
So let's just recap the big idea here. A good prompt, it's like a perfect set of instructions for a super brilliant but very literal assistant. It does 3 things incredibly well. 1, it enables that step-by-step reasoning. 2, it makes sure the agent sticks to a specific role. And 3, it gives you reliable, structured outputs you can actually count on. Without that clarity, even the best AI models can give you garbage. But with it, you can build just about anything.
So we've figured out how to make an agent think. But what happens when we give it the ability to act? What happens when these agents can use tools to interact with APIs, databases, and all sorts of other external systems? Well, that's when things get really interesting. It may be a little wild.
Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel.